Hello everyone, welcome. It's great to have you here joining us on Majesty Sussex Report. I'm Antonio, and it's my utmost pleasure and honor to welcome you to our podcast today. If you just stumble upon this podcast, if the algorithm just sent you here, give us a chance. You're here for a reason. And if you have a little bit of time to spend, why not? Try something new. And hopefully you will like our content and subscribe. And press the like button, the thumbs up. And share. And if you would like to leave us a comment, please go ahead and do so. As long as it's respectful. As long as it's nothing hateful. Because if it is, or you're here to sort of challenge us in our support for the Sussexes, I would say please don't waste your time. We free you from educating us on anything you think we need education on. Okay, so thank you for our new subscribers and for our subscribers in general. Thank you oh so very much. I am so filled with joy and happiness and excitement every time I check or I see new people subscribing, or I read your comments, and when I'm able to respond back, I do. I know I'm sort of behind a little bit on some of the earlier or older podcasts, but I am getting there. I'm getting there, folks. And yeah, thank you for being everything and more than I ever expected. Your comments, your encouragement, all of that has been just an enormous engine and fuel and all of that. I am a little bit stuffy because on the weekend I sort of came down with a cold. It's quite cold here right now in the city, and every time the weather changes so drastically, I usually get a cold. It does not fail, but I am doing okay otherwise. So today's podcast is about communication. It's about race. I mean, it stems a little bit from Omid's op-ed, based from his book Endgame. And I want to say that for me, being an educator, I don't teach any longer, but once a teacher, always a teacher, I think. I welcome people to have conversations, and I welcome people to leave comments. And I've said this all the time. I just said it. If your comment is going to be hateful, or you're here to incite certain reaction from us, I will just delete it. Right? I will have it removed. But if I think that your comment has validity in its questioning or in its statement, I will absolutely engage, because I think it's only through communication, it's only through speaking with each other that we will be able to grow. We'll be able to see each other for the for the people that we are, for our humanity. So it's important for me. So I don't shut those that come with an open mind, an open heart, in order to have an understanding. But there's caveat to that. I am not here to convince anyone about anything. I can only talk about my experiences. I can only talk about the things that I know. The things that I don't, I am willing to learn and listen. And when I come to the realization that any other party involved in that conversation is not there with an open mind and an open heart, I will exit that conversation, because I'm not interested in you bullying me into accepting whatever your beliefs are, or screaming down my throat any of your beliefs. I come in with an open heart, because an open mind, because there are things that I've learned that I might be very certain about. And when I go into a conversation with an open mind and an open heart, I can pick then from the conversation I'm having with the other certain things I did not know. Now, what that does is that it creates a better informed person, either to validate what I already believe, or to perhaps change what I believed in. And it has happened many times where I'll enter into a conversation with a certain assertion that I know certain things, because that's the information I've gotten, and then speaking with someone and come to the realization, oh my gosh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, oh, I didn't have this angle. Excuse me. So that is why I love those conversations. So I welcome them. So based on sort of this whole, I don't know even know if it's a conversation anymore that is happening around race in the UK in regards to Omid's book and which royal said what. There were two questions that were in the comment section, and they got my attention. And the two questions from two different people, I would say they were very similar in the general category of it. But it was fascinating to me how the two conversations ended up happening. Because with one person, the conversation was incremental. Also, there was more of a conversation, I would say. It was more, oh, I just read what your response was. I hear you. But then how do we explain this over here? Or how could you eliminate me a little bit more, because I'm still a bit confused, right? That is a conversation I don't mind having. The other one started out with an array of questions, and with a certain tone, I would say. And I started that conversation with, I am entering into this conversation in good faith. I'm entering this conversation with an open mind and open heart, and I hope you are doing the same. And I responded to all of their questions. Their response back was, well, these are lies, and sort of coming back again with more, well, prove this then. So to me, that isn't any longer a conversation. That is entering into, I have my facts, I'm sticking to my facts, and it doesn't matter what you say to me. I already hold an opinion about you and what you think. So I responded, and I said, this is my last communication, because I don't think you're here actually to have a conversation. I think you're just here to validate what you think and tell me what you think. Now, I'm doing this not because I'm trying to be mean to anyone or to call out anyone. I'm doing this because as an educator, I think they are teachable moments. And sometimes when we're able to have an aha moment and say, oh, I see. So here is how that miscommunication happens. Here is where that breakdown of communication happens. Here is when someone enters into a conversation that is very one-sided and you're not willing to budge a little bit or at all. That's a problem, right? It's also a problem when you deny a person's experience. Let me say that again. It's a problem when you deny a person's experience. No two people of color, no two black people, no two white people, no two Chinese people, no two any people have the same experiences. I was brought up in the same household with the same parents, and my brothers and I are very different people. Very, very, very different people. And our experiences in life and the way we have approached them means that we have very different stories to tell. Right? So when you're trying to speak with someone and they already have negated your experience or the experience of others, that to me, then it's time for me to disengage. Because that is fundamental to have that conversation. To have that conversation, you must be able to recognize that your experience is unique to you and that of others is unique to them. So when they come and they tell you about their experience, you can't say, no, that doesn't happen. Well, no. The NHS treats everyone the same way. I never said it didn't, but I'm saying statistically, 3.7 women of color, black women, have dire and fatal encounters with hospitals or when they go for medical treatment. 3.7, so close to 4%. Why? Because statistics show that when a black woman says, this really hurts, medical staff don't believe them. When they're asking for medication, they're not given the right ones because their pain is not believed. Okay, so that is why I'm entering into this. I'm bringing this as part of today's podcast because I want to bring this to the wider community. And what I'm going to basically do is show what the question was and how I responded. Show what the question was and how I responded. Right? And then you can form your own judgment. I hope there is a learning or a lesson here for you. And again, to the person who, excuse me, with whom I engaged this conversation with, I hope if you do see this, this is not calling you out or anything. It's just I'm using this as a learning experience for all of us. And perhaps there's something in what is said today to allow you to maybe just think for a little bit. Well, maybe. Because I think I tend to look at things, and sometimes when I walk away from it, or I even think about it a little bit, I said, you know what, maybe that is possible, right? And then I'll start to do my own research. I'll start to look at other things, and it will either prove or disprove, right? I come from a good place. I want each and every one of you to know that. I don't come with any malice. I don't come with any I gotcha or anything like that. I come from a very, very good place.
I don't know whether the labor unions and their bosses really hate me. That doesn't matter, but I know I'm not in their union. I don't know if the real estate lobby is anything against black people, but I know the real estate lobbies keep me in the ghetto. I don't know if the Board of Education hates black people, but I know the textbooks they give my children to read and the schools that we have to go to. Now, this is the evidence. You want me to make an act of faith, risking myself, my wife, my woman, my sister, my children, on some idealism which you assure me exists in America, which I have never seen.
Time and time again, I encounter this aggressive resistance to allowing proper discourse about the current state and role of the British monarchy to take place. It's not as if much of the public don't want it. The day after Endgame hit shelves, support for the monarchy had fallen to just 52%. Have we really reached the point where any criticism of this publicly funded establishment is considered an attack? Shouldn't we live in a world where we can scrutinize the royals like we do our politicians? Is freedom of speech only reserved for those who cleave to an approved narrative? In my 12 years covering the royal family, particularly since the arrival of Meghan in 2016, the topic of race and the royals has regularly featured in my reporting. Doing so hasn't exactly made me popular. Oh, here comes the one who thinks we're all racist. A member of the press pack slurred at me from a media pen on a 2019 royal tour, but this isn't about me. For the 12.8 million ethnic minority individuals in multicultural Britain today, shooing away opportunities to meaningfully explore the royal institution's historic links to slavery and the impact its legacy has had on the country, or have serious conversations around the royal institution's failure to protect its only family member of colour, sends a clear message that the issues just don't matter. Rather than properly address everything as part of a genuine attempt to modernize and better reflect the diverse country they serve, the royal family continue to sweep the issues, and more, under the rug.
If the royal family are racist, why did they allow the wedding? Why did the British people pay over £30 million? Why did they give her the wedding of her dreams? Why did the king walk her down the aisle? Why did he gift her a beautiful diamond bracelet as a wedding gift? Harry even said in an interview that it was not a racist comment.
So we had Omid there. Of course, I use AI voices. I didn't want to sort of read it so it would be in my voice. I wanted to have a different voice to make that distinction. But what Omid is practically trying to say is, look, folks, there's an important discussion here to have, and you're all concentrated on the wrong thing. Every time the conversation about your race arises, it's just deflect, right? And at some point, we would hope people would want to have that conversation. And the questions that the person left in the comment section, I thought they were quite valid questions. And if for someone who has been, again, I'll say watching GB News, or even in general, just even ITV and BBC and all the others, the narrative that they've laid out for people to believe is one that doesn't paint Meghan in a good light. It's not one that paints even Harry in a good light, for the most part. So we know that that narrative has been constructed and created. So I thought, well, let's tackle these questions head on. And so let's get to the very the way I started to answer them. So here is how I started. I said, I welcome your questions with an open mind, and I hope you receive my response the same. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and for engaging in this important conversation. It's essential to approach such sensitive topics with a nuanced understanding. The royal wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry was indeed a momentous occasion, celebrated by the royal family and the public. The support they received, including King Charles walking Meghan down the aisle and the exchange of gifts, are significant gestures. However, these actions, while positive, do not automatically However, these actions, while positive, do not automatically negate the potential for racial bias or insensitive remarks within any family or institution. The assertion that the public gave Meghan the wedding of her dreams is rather a dangerous narrative. Meghan has said several times that she would have loved just a small wedding with close friends. However, as you may know, a royal wedding not only involves the royal family, but the government. The government is glad to pay for these kinds of ceremonies because it promotes the UK across the world. This wedding in particular was watched by 1.9 billion people, the most watched royal wedding to date. It is estimated that this wedding infused about 1.45 billion pounds in the UK economy. So, the UK economy and people got back the money many times over. So, for me, it was important to illustrate that, because answering that question is important, because the narrative that people usually receive is a narrative where the UK taxpayers did all this for you. We are paying for your this, we're paying for your that. And that's a narrative that has continued, right, for quite a while. And as a matter of fact, it's astonishing the amount of things that were different with Meghan, right? And I don't want to get into that right now. But even when they got Frogmore, now they received the Frogmore Cottage in just a disaster, and all those estates are usually scheduled for some kind of repair or something, and it's if it's not private but under the crown pays for it. If it's private, then you invest your own private money and pay for it. But the tabloid press and general press in the UK were all uproar that, £2 million is being spent in upgrades for Frogmore. And then they started with their lies about Meghan wants a studio, Meghan wants a yoga this, Meghan this and that, Meghan that, Meghan wants a private this, Meghan. Have you stopped for a minute? If there's any kind of empathy, if there's any kind of care in your heart, your soul, your rational mind thinking, not your prejudiced mind, not your mind that is easily convinced of things. And I'm talking in general to everyone, because this is where I started to go. I'm not saying this instance, but in general, where I started to go, hang on a minute. How are you attributing to this one woman all these negative things? And why is it now it's happening? Like, she's had a career. She is a millionaire, right? And it's not until now all of these supposed nasty characteristic of her is coming to light. And it's not one, it's like every single nasty character that you can think of. Listen, we all have a little bit of that side that don't mess with us. But gee, you would stop for a second and go, hang on a minute. Think, people, think. God gives you a brain to think. That's what you've got it for. And if all of a sudden you see that Kate has become a saint, a deity for us to praise and worship. Think. Why did that happen all of a sudden? Because before Meghan, there was a lot of articles in the tabloid press and in the UK press about Catherine. And many of them were not favorable. Many. Most of them, as a matter of fact. So would you not think for a minute and go, hang on a minute here. All of a sudden Meghan is here now. And Catherine is getting all these she can do nothing wrong. But Meghan, she closes the door of the car. She has broken royal protocol. Meghan Markle once again has broken royal protocol. She has upset the Queen. The Queen has demanded that Meghan Markle. I mean, folks, come on. Think. And do you actually think the Queen said any of that? Do you actually believe that? So, it's important to know that there's a lot more that happens behind the story that these so-called journalists that are reporting on the royals are not telling you. They either invent or create these headlines, allegedly. So the responsibility is upon yourself to find out the truth. Okay, I continued. It's important to recognize that racism can manifest in various forms, from overt discrimination to subtle unconscious bias. The comparison of Archie to a monkey by a member of the British media was a clear example of overt racism, and the lack of a strong public response from the royal family to such comments was concerning to many, and it sent a message. As racist comments were repeatedly printed in the UK press and on chat shows, relentlessly sold an image of Meghan that anyone would find difficult to like, the British family, I meant to say the British royal family, said nothing. However, when it was implied once that Kate gets Botox, the palace quickly condemned the report. So my hope here is that we would see, right? I'm trying to make a comparison so the person reading this can go, okay, is this factual? Well, it is. You can look it up, you can research it. These things did happen, right? The headlines are also there. You watch Lorraine or you watch, what's the name of that other show? Loose Women. And you hear the narrative. And it doesn't matter what. It's usually negative. There might be one person who's willing to come to the defense of Meghan, or who would say, why does this matter even? Or isn't it curious that it's okay for Kate to eat an avocado, but if Meghan eats it, she is supporting terrorists in California? I mean, you might say, oh, again with the whole comparison thing, we're over that. Well, why are you over it? Because it's blatantly laid out to show you the evidence of what happens and what has been happening. Now, if you don't want to believe it or you want to brush it aside, you need to start thinking why. Why is it that when evidence is given or shown to me, I still want to hang on to my belief? Okay? All right. So, carrying on, I say it's normal to be curious about the features of a future child. In any marriage, including mixed race, one may wonder the hair texture or eye color. However, the issue they raised was the use of the word concern over how dark Archie's skin might be. The implication that a darker skin tone would be a problem or a matter of concern, especially within a royal context, is what made the comments inappropriate and troubling. It wasn't a neutral curiosity, but a concern loaded with racial implications, which is problematic. Regarding the CNN report about Catherine's pregnancy in 2013, speculating on a child's appearance based on genetics is not uncommon. However, this doesn't equate to or negate the experiences shared by Meghan and Harry. Each situation should be assessed on its own merit. So let's bring in the nature of race, right? If two people of the same ethnicity, cultural background, let's put it plain out, two people who are white, right? And they are having a child, it is quite normal for any couple, right, to be like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna have my hair. Oh, I wonder if she's gonna have your eyes. Oh, I hope he doesn't have your nose. Oh, I hope he gets my nose. Oh, well, I hope he or she looks as beautiful as you are, right? Those are normal things. Normal. And interracial or people from two different cultures may wonder the same thing, and that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong. Look, I am multiracial. I don't know if those conversations were to they had those conversations before I was born. I don't know. What I do know is there was constant comparison about whether I looked more like this side of the family or that side of the family, or oh, my eyes were more like this, oh my you definitely got your grandfather's ears on this side, oh, you definitely got this from that side, and that's completely okay. But never was a conversation had with concern about how dark my skin color would be. It was never a concern. I think people who are in mixed race relationships and they've been there for a while, something like that is worded very differently. Also, it really depends on the context in which things are said. I have a friend. She is she is British. Her background, she's from the Caribbean. She has her own mixture of culture, and her husband is German. And she was pregnant. She gave birth to an absolutely gorgeous daughter. One of her friends was visiting the hospital and saw the baby. Her friend said, "Oh my gosh, that baby is white. Why is the baby white?" And to the shock of all of us, we were like, what do you mean why the baby is white? Well, it's white. Yeah, the dad is white. So do you think because the mother isn't white that the baby would be? And she literally just said, she goes, well, I thought it was going to be black. And I thought for a second, okay, maybe you haven't experienced any of this. You're not aware, you don't know how these things work. Because I'll take you even way, way, way back. When scientists and research has been done, the first female that they've located is a black female from Africa. And that female is known as the mother of all of us. So we all come from a black woman. Now, if you want to debate that with me, don't. Go do your research and then come back. The other thing, it's also been proven scientifically that there's something within the gene or genealogy makeup of a black woman that a black woman can actually reproduce and give birth to a white child. I mean, a white child. Blue eyes, blonde hair, ginger, white, just white. You can barely see any traces of black. But that child, though, does have black genes, right? Because they got it from their mother. So for the people who see sometimes a dark-skinned woman, or even a man, because it's his child, walking around, right, with a very fair skin or white-looking child, blonde hair, curl, whatever it is, and you start to call the cops or you judge the person like, oh, that must be the nanny. Shut up. Do yourself a favor. Shut up. I'm not saying if you see a child in danger, not to be concerned. But be careful about your prejudices, okay? Be really careful. So, there isn't a problem. Because I know you're trying to make that comparison. Well, on CNN, they said this about, when Kate was pregnant. And that is fine. That is completely fine. It's completely fine to say, if they were having a conversation and they said, I wonder if the baby is going to have King Charles ears. Fine. Oh, I wonder if it's going to have ginger hair. Like you, Harry. That's fine. But when you say, we're concerned about how dark the skin color of the baby might be, and the implication that has for the royal family, that's the problem. Okay? So I hope I'm able to draw that comparison, that differentiation, right, between one thing versus the other. Okay, let's continue on to my response. So regarding Omid Scobie's book, Endgame, it's important to clarify that the names of the individuals who allegedly made comments about Archie's skin color were not included in the final version of the book. Scobie stated that the inclusion of names in the Dutch edition was due to a translation error, not an intentional decision on his part. Now, I know this is a contentious thing, and it has been said, even the person to whom I'm responding to said, no, it's a lie. Scobie did admit putting the names in there. I've read the op-ed, I've read a couple other things. Nowhere does he say, I intentionally did this or I did this. He doesn't even admit that he had it written down in like a first draft or a second draft. It's sort of implied, but he doesn't admit it. He doesn't come out and say, yes, I wrote it in my first draft. So let's not go by what's implied and let's go by what's actually there written. What's the statement? I carry on to say, this discussion highlights the importance of understanding that racism and racial biases are complex and multifaceted. Embracing one aspect of a person's identity, like celebrating a wedding, does not preclude the presence of unconscious bias in other areas. It's through open, respectful, and informed dialogue that we can better understand and address these complexities. And I thought that was a respectful way to respond. I thought I gave evidence to answer questions or concerns, and everything that I've stated is actually verifiable. Everything that I've stated, you can research it, and it comes from verified information, not from
None of
hearsay
these
or like
claims of
this person
racism has
this or
been
that
proven.
person that.
Not one claim. It is all hearsay. There is no proof of evidence from Harry or his wife. Just hearsay. Harry said the conversation was before he was married. His wife said it was when she was pregnant. Both tell different stories. Harry's wife said her son would not get a title because of the color of his skin. That was a complete lie, because he couldn't have HRH title until the Queen died, because he was a great-grandchild of the monarch. Harry knew all these things, yet he still lied on the offer interview, knowing he wasn't telling the truth. Archie did get a title when he was born. It was the Earl of Dumbarton. But Harry's wife didn't like the title, so she wouldn't use it. She wanted the prince title, knowing that couldn't happen until the Queen died. Nothing at all to do with his race. Harry and his wife made mountains out of molehills, just out of spite. Not getting their own way. They wanted half in and half out of the monarchy. The Queen said no because that would not work. So they choose to leave. Then go and trash their family with racism claims with no proof of evidence. That to me is a disgusting act. Crying racism where there was none to begin with. Even calling the British public racist. Despicable. GBGB.
I entered this conversation in good faith. I chose my words very carefully and answered the questions you proposed. Now you come back with another set of burden of proof. You may or may not know this, but you are deploying a very old and typical tactic. I will let you figure it out. I am amazed at your assertions, and I have never, not once, heard either Harry or Meghan call the British public racist. Both of them are well-mannered people, and would never say something like that, because that would be an assertion they would never be able to prove. Now, you force me to ask you for proof of your statement. Now, this is my last response. I hope you read it. By the way, Harry's wife has a name, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. I'm sure you knew that and was not avoiding her name for another reason. I note your emphasis on the lack of proven evidence regarding the claims of racism. However, it's essential to recognize that experiences of racism and conversations about race, especially within private settings like a family, are inherently complex and often lack the straightforward evidence that public incidents might provide. This doesn't invalidate these experiences, but rather underscores the subtlety and personal nature of such issues. I'm sure you would agree when a TV personality basically compares Prince Archie to a monkey, that is racism, right? Regarding the discrepancies in the accounts of Prince Harry and Meghan, it's not uncommon for individuals to recall the same events differently, especially under the pressure of public scrutiny. This doesn't necessarily point to dishonesty, but to the complexities of human memory and perception. On the topic of Archie's title, the discussion isn't merely about the technicalities of royal protocol, but rather the perceived attitudes and concerns behind these decisions. The issue at hand is less about the title itself and more about the implications and the context in which these decisions were made and discussed. Your assertion that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's claims are entirely without merit seems to dismiss the very real experiences of numerous individuals who have faced subtle forms of racism, which are often not overt or easily proven. It's also important to acknowledge the significant negative media coverage Meghan faced, which was markedly different in the tone and frequency compared to the two other members of the royal family. This difference in treatment is a core part of their narrative and resonates with many who have observed or experienced similar disparities. Thank you for taking the time to comment. We have different life experiences that afford us to see things differently. I wish you the best. There is a lot of hate in this world. I wish you lots of joy, happiness, and love. We all can use more of that for sure. I just made a decision. I do have a second part that I wanted to discuss in the response to the message. But I think I'm going to stop now. I'm a little bit tired and I feel these conversations tend to take the wind out of you. They're very tiresome, but I do want to give it justice, and I also would like to not have you have to listen to an hour and a half or 2 hours of just this. So I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to post part 2 as a standalone also response, okay? So this is it for now. Yes, it is. That's it. I know it's kind of abrupt end, right? Listen, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself, please, please, please. That goes for everyone. The world is a crazy place, and there's so many things that comes to us on a daily basis, and things sometimes we don't understand, and some of it is quite challenging. But be kind to yourself. It's important. And be kind to your loved ones. Gosh, they mean the world to you. And sometimes you don't know how to express it, you don't know how to say it. And sometimes you don't need to say it. Sometimes a hug is enough. And maybe they'll act weird and say, "Why are you hugging me?" But trust me, it means a lot. And sometimes just saying "I love you" before that person that you care about and love leaves for school or work or to play football, go to a dance, whatever. Making sure that always when you part ways with your loved ones, you say "I love you" or tell them how much they mean to you. And to these strangers along the way that we may not know their names, their lives, the things they've gone through, may we be kind. And I hope today I've been kind. I've tried my best. And if at any time I was not, I ask you for your apologies. I offer my apologies. I will do better next time. As I said at the beginning of this, everything that I say, I do it from my heart. I do it because I care. And I want us all to have better understanding of each other. Until we speak again. Bye for now.
When you're tired and worn, and you feel like you can't go on, I'll be there to put one foot in front of the other. When you've lost the first time your heart breaks, I'll pick up the pieces and put them back together. I'll be there for you. Every fall and every rise, every wrong and every right. I'll be there for you. When your heart finds a home, when you find what you've been searching for, I'll be by your side and walk you down into your forever. I'll be there for you. Every fall and every rise, every wrong and every right. I'll be there for you. When the time finally comes, I hope you're proud of everything we've done, and you can help me put one foot in front of the other.